Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. So, I'm Terry from Terry Events. I wanted to just jump on today just to talk to you a little bit more about venues. So, on Tuesday, I did a live, and pretty much we spoke about what to look out for when you're choosing venues. And we mentioned quite a few places across the island of Jamaica where, we found we have some really beautiful venues for weddings or any event really. So if you haven't seen that, please jump on IGTV and look for that. But today, what I wanted to really talk to you about is private venues as opposed to all inclusive resorts. So there are definitely pros and cons to each. So I wanted to go through that with you. This is something that I talk to my clients about. If I'm providing location scouting for them, these are some of the things that we need to discuss. First and foremost, they need to know what type of venue they want. Some people want a garden setting, some people want beach setting, outdoor, indoor, that sort of thing. So obviously, those kind of thoughts and discussions need to take place first. But definitely also you need to think about um, things like privacy. Now, for instance, when you take into consideration an all inclusive resort, we know that there are a number of guests there, other persons there. There are definitely locations on site that do not lend itself to privacy. You can have no privacy at all, or it can be semi private. Talking about the beach, talking about the garden areas, the patio areas, where often are designated for weddings, right? Of course, they have conference rooms and that sort of thing, which will provide some amount of privacy. But a lot of persons, when going to resort, the conference room is not the first choice, right? Am I right? So you have to think about, are you the type of person that really wants your wedding or your event to have that private and intimate feeling? When you take into consideration a private space, and I'm speaking about villas, for instance, I'm speaking about spaces that host events which aren't public, and when you have your event there, it's closed down completely and it's just your event. There are no other events going on, there are no random people in the background. So maybe if you are a private person, then a private event space is the best scenario for you. So number one is privacy. Number two is packages. There are a lot of private spaces that don't provide packages. And of course, when you go to an all-inclusive resort, they will have a wedding package for you, right? This most likely would include a photographer, a cake person, hairstylist, makeup, food, of course, um, DJ. So the key elements of any event, wedding, so to speak. Private space, not so much. There are some that do have packages. They may not be as comprehensive as a resort. And this really depends on you. This can be something in your favor or not in your favor. It really depends on you. Maybe you are the type of person and you want to choose your own vendors. Maybe you don't want a all-in-one package. But then there are persons who just want a one-stop shop. So the resort wedding is for them. So they get all of these things. They don't have to worry about sourcing their own vendors. But then there are some of my clients definitely, they're planning a wedding for anywhere from 6 months to 18 months, 24 months even. And they want to be able to talk to their vendors. They want to be able to liaise with the cake person to have that personal contact. And often when you're with a resort, you don't get the freedom to do that. So having a private space, you get to choose your own vendors, you get to have that relationship with the vendors, you really get to feel that personal connection with your vendors. So think about that. Definitely with resorts, the packages will lend themselves to discounts, right? Depending on the group size. So that leads me to another point, which is the features and the amenities of each property. Now, all inclusives, they're going to have it. They're an all inclusive. They're going to have the food, they're going to have the pool, the beach, they're going to have so many features, they're going to have accommodation. And so these are big sells when you're thinking about having a big wedding or event. You have space, accommodation. Your guests are right there, so they shouldn't be late. You have the food. Um, you can chill, during the day, stuff like that. You have room service. These are all super great features. But you have villas. You can have butler service too. You have food too. Accommodation, not for all your guests, but that can also be a pro. So you don't have them there nagging you. Just kidding. But that could be a feature for you to say yay over when you have your private space where it's just you and your close friends. So you have your bride squad or your groomsmen and you're getting ready, and that's just your space to chill out. Or you have an event space where you actually have to travel to, and everybody has to travel to it. So people don't want to do that. They may just want a venue where you everybody's there and you all reach there. You don't have any hassle of figuring out transportation. Um, Really just depends on you. What are the key features that you want for any venue? You have to know. You have to be able to say, okay, when I'm looking for a venue, these are my top priorities. You know, so list them. What's important to you in a venue? What are some of the critical features that you want your venue to have? And once you have itemized them and prioritized them, then you compare each venue to your list of priorities. That's something that I always say to my clients that we need to do. So definitely look at the wedding packages, look at the amenities and the features that are available at each property. You also want to think about the vendors. Now, remember I said that resorts have packages, so they obviously have their vendors on site. They may outsource some of them or they may have internal vendors. It doesn't matter. It's part of the package. You may want to choose your own. So if you're having an on-site resort, wedding, or event, but you want a DJ friend to do it, or you really love Sue the makeup artist and you want her to do your makeup, then resorts are charging you from 500 US dollars to 1,000 US dollars roughly to carry external vendors onto their property. Crazy. This is just per vendor. This is not $500 flat. So if you want a DJ, photographer, makeup person, then definitely that's 500 minimum per person. So budget wise, it may not work out for you. Just really depends on what you want. So another thing now is your wedding coordinator at the resort. You definitely have a wedding coordinator at a resort. Private spaces, some do, some don't. Villas, of course, are not going to have it, but you do have um, venues that have their coordinators. Now, let's be very clear. I did another blog on this, so you can check that out too. Let's be very clear. Coordinators and planners are totally different. On-site venue coordinators and wedding planners, event planners, totally different scope of work, totally different quality of work, totally different time commitments. So no shade, guys. I'm not trying to shade anybody. It's just truth. It's just fact. So what you're getting, yeah, a wedding coordinator, you're getting that at some properties, but the level of work and detail and quality that you're going to get from an independent planner is not going to be the same. So having a private space, whether they give you a planner, a coordinator or not, or having a resort, whether they give you a coordinator or not, I'm clearly going to push, not because I'm a planner, no, I'm just going to push for you having a planner. I have been hired actually several times by people who have resort weddings, but they want an independent planner. Several reasons for that. So it's something for you to consider. Okay. I want you to also consider when choosing your venues the flexibility and restrictions of each property. No, obviously, when you're looking at a private space, you may have, highly likely, you have less restrictions. Let's talk about the time restrictions. So, if you're a person that wants your wedding or event to go to 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, there are private spaces that will allow you to do that. A resort, no, they won't. And for reason, they have reasons, obviously. But you just need to figure out what you want. Do you want your event to go past a certain hour. Um, do your what time of day, night do you want to your do you want to have your event? Because at resorts you have time slots that you are going to have to choose from. Whereas at a private space, you have more autonomy to choose and to do what you wish. You have that freedom, guys, not just creative freedom, but just the ability to structure your event and your wedding the way that you want to when it comes onto a private space. So there are definitely more restrictions when it comes onto a resort. Some people are okay with that. Some people may be having small weddings, 10, 20 people. They're good. That's fine. They can go to the club after, and that's good for them. Again, it really boils down to who you are, what you want. So we've gone through the wedding packages, we've gone through the amenities and the features of each property, we've gone through privacy, we've spoken about the planner and the coordinator, flexibility, and restrictions. So those are the main things I would say that if you're thinking about a private space or a resort, that you really need to think over very carefully. As I said, I provide location scouting. It's a standalone service. Or if you're planning your wedding or event and you need comprehensive wedding planning, it is included in that as well. So if you need advice, if you need that service, please feel free to DM me. You can email, you can WhatsApp. Everything starts out with a consultation, which is free. I find that persons value the consultations because we get to talk a lot about their event, their wedding, and just the way forward. So if you're open to it, just give me a shout and I'll schedule a consultation for you. All right. Have a great day, guys.